Bass! Welcome to the Tony Scott Internet Show, Tuesday edition. What's up, y'all? I am Tony Scott. So how was Monday in St. Louis? Very busy. It was Moral Monday here in St. Louis. And with the Ferguson October and all that going on, lots of protests going on around the St. Louis area demanding change and how the police interact with African Americans, people of color, African Americans in particular, though, in this area. Not a lot of Latinos in the St. Louis area. But the message is being felt. A lot of protests, though. Protests in Ferguson at the Ferguson Police Department headquarters. They were there for 4 hours. 4 hours being the amount of time that Michael Brown laid in the street after he was murdered by Officer Darren Wilson. There was protests at St. Louis University. There was protests at Frontenac Mall for those who don't live in St. Louis and are listening from around the world. And there are lots of people listening, like in the Philippines. I think last time I checked my analytics, I had a couple in Brazil. Frontenac Mall is what they call the Ritzy Mall here in the St. Louis area. There were protests in the Shaw neighborhood near where Von Derrick Myers Jr. was killed. There was protests at St. Louis City Hall. And in total, there were 58 arrests, including Dr. Cornel West, who was knocked down and then arrested. He's like 61 years old, but he had said, I'm coming to get arrested, not coming to do any meetings and stuff like that. So he meant that he was going to protest. 43 arrests were at the Ferguson Police Department. 6, I believe, were at, what is that? I wrote it down, but my vision is so bad. West Florissant. 8 were arrested at Walmart in Maplewood, I believe, and 1 was arrested at City Hall for not following police orders and resisting arrest. Several clergy members approached individual officers yesterday during protests and asked them to repent for Michael Brown's killing and other acts of violence. Now, some officers actually were engaged with the protesters. There was a picture that was out over the internet yesterday that showed a police officer and a protester embracing each other, hugging each other, a white police officer and a black woman. Other officers, for the most part, pretty much ignored the efforts, although there was one situation where one young lady was accused of putting her hands on a cop, and they had already told people, you touch a cop, you get arrested. And they were getting ready to arrest her, but the cop spoke up and says, no, that never happened, let her go. Now, one cop, though, went toe-to-toe as far as arguing with these protesters, and he was actually removed. So that's where that situation was yesterday. What else is going on? The Missouri legislature. Now, this is interesting, although this won't apply to what's going on right now because this won't happen, if it happens at all, till 2015. The Missouri legislature is going to consider passing a law that would remove prosecutors in officer-involved shootings where a cop could be charged. Legislation is going to be filed next year that will have the state attorney general have that responsibility. Missouri law currently allows 2 avenues for outside prosecutors. A local prosecutor can ask for help from the governor, who can appoint the state attorney general's office to the case, or a court can appoint a special prosecutor if the elected one has a conflict of interest. And therein lies the problem with the Michael Brown shooting, is that Bob McCullough, who is the county prosecutor, well, his father, his mother, his brother, his uncle, and a cousin have all worked for St. Louis's police department, and his father was actually killed while responding to a call involving a black suspect. So this is where people were saying that Bob McCullough needs to recuse himself from this particular case because of a conflict of interest. Now, why a court cannot see that this is the issue is beyond me. I mean, there's nothing against Bob McCullough. I mean, you're just too close to the police department to really, truly, in my opinion, remain unbiased. And I think it's only natural that there would be some bias because your family we're all police officers. Your mother, your father, your brother, an uncle, a cousin. And you're saying that you could remain unbiased? I mean, I know you mean well, but I have a hard time believing that. I just do. And I don't know why he was never removed. I understand, though, he's going to be showing up at one of the town hall meetings in the St. Louis area, and we'll answer questions. But we'll have to see where that takes us. But these protesters did some amazing work yesterday. They covered so much ground in the St. Louis area. It was truly amazing to see And it made you, my respect for the protesters went up. Yeah, I already had respect for them, went up a whole nother level. But I do want them to be careful. I'm not sure how the law works, but I would imagine them going to Frontenac Mall or them going to Walmart you may be borderline like going on private property. And you're saying, well, how can that be private property? That's a retail spot. Yeah, but it's still owned privately. It's not owned by the city. It's owned privately by a company, a corporation. If I'm not mistaken, and I think there may be a problem there. I know that when I worked in radio, there was one of our radio stations caused something that happened and were being picketed and all that. And they could picket on the sidewalk, but they couldn't come in the building because it was private property. So I'm wondering if that's the same kind of thing. And I'm sure the protesters have talked to lawyers and everything, so they know what they're doing. So I'm just wasting my time trying to tell them to be careful. But I do want you to be careful. I don't want anybody to get hurt or get in trouble. You're going to get arrested. You know that going in for civil disobedience. I get that. That's fine. Not that you're asking me. I'm just saying. Word on the Ebola thing. You got to be careful, man. Ebola drug scams have apparently hit the World Wide Web. Online marketers are trying to sell a cure for Ebola. Natural Solutions Foundation, which promotes a supplement called Nano Silver for the cure and prevention of viruses, including Ebola. That is bogus. Okay, that is bogus. You need to know that. So if you get an email, if you get a phone call, if you get something in the regular mail from Natural Solutions Foundation touting Nano Silver for cure and prevention of viruses, including Ebola, they are trying to rip you off, and you need to know that. Am I making myself clear on this? You need to know that is not that's no. Hang up the phone, delete the email, don't open the link. You should never open a link on an email from anybody you don't know. You're just begging for trouble when you do that. So there's a story there on that. Candy Alexander is going to be tonight. Is one of my favorite shows. Is the one on PBS with Skip Gates, Henry Louis Gates. He does a thing where he traces people's genealogy, their ancestry. And there's another show called Who Do You Think You Are that used to run on NBC, but now it's on one of the cable channels. And tonight on PBS, they're going to be talking to Candy Alexander and doing her ancestry. Now, I'll tell you this. When my father died, I decided to find out about some of my father's side of the family, especially on his mother's side, I really didn't know anything about. And he didn't know anything about. She died in 1938, his mom. So I never even saw a picture of this woman. But through this journey that I took, I was able to get a picture of her. I was able to get a not good quality, but a picture of her father, and a not good quality, but a picture of his father, my great-great-grandfather. So I was able to find out things, and I was able to find out things about some of the things about my mother's side of the family. For example, my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, had a brother named Arthur who died of a snake bite when he was 9 years old. And this was like in 1918. This was like a long, almost 100 years ago. So Candy Alexander, who is a self-described gypsy and doesn't really have family and stuff like that. Well, they tracked some things down and found out a lot of things, including the fact that her grandfather was murdered. It was a lynching. It wasn't a lynching, but basically it was an on-the-job lynching where he was actually burned on purpose and died. And when she found this out, because at first she pretty much had whatever. When they asked her if she would participate, even she says, yeah, sure, whatever. But then when she got the information, it kind of blew her away, and she talked to the Electronic Urban Report about that, and I wanted to play that for you.
It changed my life. It changed my worldview, because now I'm connected. I'm connected to the world, whereas before I honestly have been a gypsy. So it's been quite wonderful, actually.
That's Candy Alexander. The episode, I believe, tonight on PBS is on at 7 o'clock Central Time, but check your local listings depending on where in the country you are listening from. If you're out of the country, you might, I doubt it, but you might be able to watch it on their website, but I'm really not sure about that. So pretty interesting, though. I found out so much about my family, and I encourage everybody to do that, to try and find out what you can about you. Ancestry.com was a big help. I saw my grandmother who died in 1938. I actually saw her death certificate. My father had a sister who died of tuberculosis when she was like 15. I didn't even know he had a sister who died, right? I found out all this information, how my great-great-grandfather back in the day in South Texas was a rancher and things like that. And he was a license collector. He was a judge. He was a druggist, which is now called a pharmacist now. All that going on, and yet at the same time all this was going on, he had to live in the woods for like 2 months because banditos had crossed the border in Mexico and had stolen some of his cattle and burned down his barn and stuff like that. I've found out all this information, and his father was actually, so my great-great-great-grandfather was actually a consul, like an ambassador for the United States to the Republic of Texas before Texas became a state. And he was actually based, this is where it gets kind of weird, right? He was actually based, this is like in the 1840s. He was based in the same city where my father eventually settled his life, met my mom, and married her, where I grew up in Galveston. Incredible, just an incredible information that I found out that I one of the biggest regrets I have is that I didn't do this sooner so I could have told my father what an interesting family he had. But nonetheless, the episode with Candy Alexander will be on tonight on PBS. Iggy Azalea needs to grow the hell up. Iggy Azalea, if you don't know, is an Australian rapper who is making her way through hip-hop. Some say she's not real hip-hop, but you know what? She puts out music that kids like, and at the end of the day, that's all they really care about. They don't care about where you're from like we did. You know, we didn't care about it. I mean, you know. But anyway, she's the paparazzi were on her, and she got in an argument with one of them, and she tells one of them, "I hope you get Ebola." Really, Iggy Azalea? Really? I know you didn't mean it, but come on, man, grow up. Grow the hell up. You don't tell people who even are hassling. You don't do that. You know, you want to be a celebrity. That's the price you pay. The price you pay for being a celebrity is the paparazzi is on you. They're on you. I mean, that's the price you pay for the life that you're going to get, the riches you're going to get, the entitlement that you're going to get. All this from being a celebrity, the price you pay is they're all over you all the time. And if you don't like that, you need to go back from wherever you came from and go on and live your life the way it was before you became famous. Telling anybody, I hope you get Ebola in this time where Ebola is a serious issue in this country is really idiotic, stupid, and immature. I just got to be honest with you. I mean, when I read that pissed me off. It really did. It's crazy. I don't get people sometimes. Puffy, or Diddy as he's called now, apparently was hanging out. Supposedly he was hanging out with J-Lo at a club or something. I don't know if they were together or he was just in the VIP area with her. You know how the media tends to make things, spin it away where they were like, you know, sitting next to each other snuggling. I don't even know if that was the case. But when he was leaving, there's the paparazzi. And he knows how to handle the paparazzi. The paparazzi doesn't know how to handle him because one of them scratched his Maybach. And cameras were rolling.
Boy, oh boy, yo. Come here, man. Come here. What you did, man?
That's his people talking right there. But you'll hear Puffy.
No. Now, who will pay for that?
I did this?
Yeah, just now when you ran into the car.
I did this?
Oh, you remember that just happened?
Yeah, but I was... Y'all gotta just be easy, bro. You alright? Yeah, I'm alright.
Yeah, pushed a little bit.
Oh.
So Puffy's Maybach gets scratched, and it was a pretty good scratch. I'll link you. Go to the Streets of Talking page at talking360.com, and you can watch the video courtesy of TMZ, this audio. It was a pretty good scratch, man. I mean, that may take more than a buffing out. That might take some work. And then the dude says, "I did that." The classic response, right? "I did that." This is what we do as men. We deny everything, right? "I did that?" "Yes, you did. Yes, you did." And everybody's looking at you sideways. But Puffy's like, "Hey, man, you know, y'all got to be careful, man. You all right?" He asked the dude who scratched his Maybach, Puffy says, "Are you all right?" You know, when you're Puffy and you don't have to worry about paying the light bill, you know, you don't have to worry about getting that phone bill paid before they turn it off. When life is good like that, you can take it in stride. Hey, it's insured. Get it fixed, right? Knowing him, though, he'll probably just trade it in and get another one. Hell, why not? When you like that, you can do that. Buffy is the man. If you watch the TV show Gotham with Jada Pinkett Smith on Fox, you should know that it has been picked up for a full season. So that's great news. I haven't seen it. My wife has seen it and taped it, and I've been wanting to watch it. But, man, with everything that there is to watch on TV right now, especially the Cardinals, my St. Louis, my beloved Cardinals, it's hard to get everything in, man. So, the heirs of Aunt Jemima have decided that we're going to sue for $2 billion and we want to share revenue from future sales. The heirs of Nancy Green, she was the first Aunt Jemima back in 1890, and actually the heirs of Nancy Green, who was the first Aunt Jemima, and two great-grandsons of Anna Short Harrington filed a lawsuit stating that Nancy Green and Harrington were also instrumental in developing the Aunt Jemima recipe. Now, Nancy Green was born a slave in Kentucky, moved to Chicago after the Civil War, and then she worked as a cook for a judge who recommended her for the Aunt Jemima position. After her death in 1923, descendants say that the next person, who was the Anna Short Harrington woman, was recruited to represent Aunt Jemima at the 1935 World's Fair and claimed she changed the recipe to include potato grease. The descendants believe these two women had contracts, said they would receive a percentage of the revenue earned every time their likeness was used, but no contracts have been located by either side. Quaker Oats, which is owned by PepsiCo, they hired Anna Harrington's youngest daughter, Olivia Hunter, in 1989. Her likeness was then used as the updated version of Aunt Jemima in product branding going forward. So Quaker Oats says, you know what, the image symbolizes a sense of caring, warmth, hospitality, and comfort, and is neither based on nor meant to depict any one person. While we cannot discuss the details of this pending litigation, we do not believe that there is any merit to this lawsuit. But their descendants want consequences and ramifications. The hard part is that they're going to have a hard time with no contracts in hand. No evidence saying that there was an agreement. It's going to be kind of hard to prove. You know? I mean, you're saying that this is what you were told over the course of generations. And PepsiCo, who owns Quaker Oats, who has the Aunt Jemima brand, they're saying, well, show us the evidence. And if you show us the evidence, we'll be glad to cut the check. And they say that with a smile because they know you don't have a copy of the contract. So I don't know, you know. They must know something. The descendants must know something, though, unless it's just a wild shot in the dark. And if that's the case, then, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if the judge made them pay court costs for both sides. You know, if you're wasting time. But they must have something going on where they would know this kind of stuff. I don't know, man. Interesting. The Cardinals will play tonight. They took the day off yesterday with their National League Championship Series tied at one game apiece. They'll be in San Francisco for the next 3 games. Again, beginning, I think today's a day game, if I'm not mistaken. Kansas City, who is 2 games up on the Baltimore Orioles, were supposed to start playing game 3 yesterday, but they got rained out because it rained a lot in Kansas City, so they'll play game 3 today. And the Rams last night, Monday Night Football, came out the gate on fire, man. They did 14 quick points, wasn't it? Something like that? And then at the end of the day, it was over. It was 31-24 was the final score of that game last night against the San Francisco 49ers. I believe today, the 49er quarterback, Colin Kaepernick, is supposed to go before the commissioner or whoever enforces the rules. Because you remember last offseason, they had passed some kind of new rules talking about they were trying to get the N-word out of the game. Abusive language is what they called it. And there would be a penalty for that, and then you could get fined. And apparently Colin Kaepernick is the first one who got caught, they say, using the N-word, and he is in a lot of trouble, according to reports, and he could get fined. He just got fined $10,000 for being on TV with Beats headphones on. I told you about that the NFL signed a contract with Bose, and the NFL told their players, do not be caught on camera wearing anything but bows, otherwise you're going to get fined. And Colin Kaepernick, after they were told not to do that, he shows up at a post-game press conference wearing some pink Beats by Dre. It's National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and that's probably why he was wearing the pink headphones. But you're not supposed to wear anything but bows. Come on, man. They told you that. They told you that, dude. Come on, man. All right, coming up, I got a couple of stories that's going to have you scratching your head. One involves kind of like I don't want to call it a riot, but it was a situation at a hair weave giveaway event. Did you hear about this? And a burglar, had sex with a teddy bear, and that's how he got caught. That's coming up on the Tony Scott Internet Show.
Do you want to reach an audience that you haven't tapped into yet and not blow your budget? The Tony Scott Internet Show is new, growing, and available to you. Advertising on the Tony Scott Internet Show is extremely affordable. Contact us at advertise@TonyScottShow.com.
We are back on the Tony Scott Internet Show for this Tuesday. A couple of things, couple of promotions to tell you about as far as what I do. I do lots of video content on YouTube. I got a tech show I do. It's called iTony Tech. Now, it's nothing where I talk about things that are like really technical, like how to build a computer and, defragging your computer. Do you still defrag a Windows PC? Do you still do that? But it's nothing like that. It's just simple tech news. Facebook's rolling out some location-based ads. Snapchat's going to start putting in ads in certain parts of Snapchat, stuff like that. You can check it out. You can go to talking360.com and click on the iTony Tech at the top. It'll take you to the latest episode. And also, me and the guys, Mark Clark and Troy Johnson, do a couple of shows. One is called Men on Scandal, where we recap every episode of Scandal from a man's perspective, and you can check it out. Go to menonscandal.com. And also, we do a show called Men on Everything, where we talk about all things in pop culture. In fact, we'll be recording one, I believe, later on today. So you can check that out at talking360.com. Just click on Men On. And you can get the latest episode of that. And if you're driving or in the gym, going for a walk, don't have access to, like YouTube, things like that, or video, you can actually listen at talking360.com. Just go to audio only. You can actually download the audio versions, put them on your phone, or just stream on your phone and just take it with you wherever you go, where you cannot watch, but it can only listen, maybe like at work. During a break, don't get fired. I'm just saying. So in Orlando, right outside Orlando, the beauty supply store decided to have this promotion where they were going to give away Brazilian hair extensions. I think the first 50 people got them for free, and then after that, you could get them for a penny. And of course, they say they had no idea that many people would show up. But it got crazy. The problem is the police showed up and really didn't have the patience for just a bunch of women going back and forth. One woman got shoved to the ground. So they came out there with their mace and they sprayed it in the air. And that ticked off the ladies. And the fact that some of them probably stood in line but got cut in line or whatever and didn't get their Brazilian weave extensions for free or for a penny really, really ticked them off. And let you hear some of the TV report.
The police, when they get frustrated, they just pull out their mace and just go to Mason.
Many shoppers started lining up hours before the store opened, trying to score a free set of Brazilian hair extensions that would go to the first 50 customers. But with no line formed and no numbering system to tell who was first, the situation unraveled. Some say police went too far.
Then the one that bomb rushed us, and then we getting pepper sprayed. And I don't think that's right. They didn't treat us right.
That is courtesy of Local 6 in Orlando, Lewis Bolden reporting. And I don't know, man. I don't know. They end up fighting over some Brazilian hair extensions. I mean, is it that serious? Is the struggle that real? Is the thirst that I don't know, man. And what everybody talking? Why don't you work on them edges though? What? I got a video of Tiny and her friend. They got a TV show where they're in a not an SUV, but some kind of Winnebago, going around the country talking to people about their hair, and they're criticizing Tamar's edges and what she should do with her edges and stuff. So, but man, come on, ladies, come on. I know you're trying to look your best, and I know, you try to get the best deal you can on what you can, but it ain't that important, man. If there's that many people up there, if you get there and there's like more than 50 people there, then get back in your car and go home, because it ain't going to happen. It's going to get ugly. Can we make that a rule? Because that's, man, come on. Ladies, stop. Just stop. I hope that some of the ladies who were down there who caught shrapnel as innocent bystanders saw this report on TV and realized just how silly the whole thing was. I mean, they said kids were getting knocked over and, it's just a big, giant mess. I'll link you to the whole report. You can watch it, talking360.com. Just click on what, and you'll see it right there, I believe at the top of the page. And finally, in the UK, a burglar was caught after he had sex with a teddy bear while raiding a shed. Police discovered his DNA inside the teddy bear, and he got caught. Paul Mountain is 38 years old. He was coming down from some amphetamines, and he felt an overwhelming need for sexual relief, is what he told police. He cut a hole inside the teddy bear, and then he went in, man. The owner of the place found that his shed had been broken into, and everything was kind of, turned over, and everything was looked through and everything. And on the floor, among the wreckage, the woman, the homeowner, found the teddy bear used and abused. They took it to the lab. What are they not? What's it called? CSI. They took it to the CSI, and they found semen inside, and they came back as being the defendant. What's his name? Mountain. Paul Mountain's semen. He's pled guilty to burglary with intent to steal, and he was bailed out in preparation for the court date. No charge of sexual abuse of a teddy bear. Is that a hate crime? What is that? Is that a hate crime only because maybe the teddy bear was straight? Maybe it was. Or maybe he was gay. I don't know. Dude, how you cut a hole in the teddy bear and then go in like that? Really? And then you leave your stuff inside the teddy bear. This is the hell that is Earth today. I mean, come on, man. I cannot believe some people. Wow. I'm going to leave it right there, man. You marinate on that one for a while. Y'all talk about that at work and say, did you hear about the guy? And I don't want to say rape, because rape is such a vile act. He is sexually assaulted, and that's not much better. A teddy bear, a stuffed animal. Tell them to come listen. Tell them what the podcast is, and let me explain it to them. Because I think that is the most stupidest thing I may have heard in all my years. And trust me, with a 30-year broadcast career, I've heard a lot of stupid things. But that right there, my friends, that right there is causing me to end the show right now. Thanks so much for listening and downloading and sharing. I was talking earlier about how I was looking at the analytics of, who's listening to what. And of course, most of the audience is in the United States, and probably most of them are in St. Louis, because this is where I'm based and people know me from my many years on the radio in St. Louis. But I got people in Canada, people in Brazil, people in Germany, the Philippines, that are listening to the podcast, and I appreciate that. And if you guys could help out too, that would be awesome by sharing and reposting on your sites. It would be awesome to help me grow this even bigger than I could ever have imagined, because I have to take care of my family. I have to be able to generate something, some kind of revenue, so that I can pay the bills just like you. So thanks again, though, for listening. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a blessed rest of the day.